I'm Jordan Hatfield. This is Faster Film Critic. Today on the show, we talk Bugonia with Chase Fugel and Blake Lazinski. Bugonia is a 2025 dark comedy directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, starring Jesse Plemons, Emma Stone, and Aidan Delbus. Look, Yorgos has got some really strange ideas, so lubricate your mind hole and get in. We're going cinephiling. Welcome, Blake. Welcome back.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
It's good to have you on the pod again.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking about One Battle a few weeks ago, and I am looking forward to Wicked for Good in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we are too.
And this is a nice little midpoint.
It is a nice little midpoint. A midpoint I'm excited to talk about because Bugonia, wow, what a movie. But before we dive into this, we talk spoilers on this show. You know that. Bugonia is not a film that you want spoiled. If you have not seen this film, please turn off the podcast now, go see the film, then come back to us. This is a film that you do not want spoiled.
And if you can, shave your head just to prevent any external signals from seeping in.
Exactly. So, Blake, I want to start with you.
Yeah.
What did you think of Bugonia?
I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. You know, I always love seeing an auteur do their thing, and I think Yorgos is one of the auteurs amongst auteurs, all these great filmmakers that we have today. I loved that it was shot in VistaVision. I love that we got that 35 millimeter look on there. I loved the score and the cinematography, and my God, the performances. I really liked a lot about this movie, and I've seen it twice now. I actually just got out of the theater about an hour ago for it, and yeah, just really enjoyed it.
It just seems to check all boxes and still be so weird and out there.
It's checking boxes for me I didn't even know existed. Blake, are you a Yorgos Lanthimos fan?
I am. Yeah, I am. I especially love some of his newer stuff. I enjoyed The Lobster. I don't remember Dogtooth enough to talk to it, but I really love Poor Things and The Favorite. I think those are incredible movies and like really get you into Yorgos's mind state.
Yorgos is an extremely unique filmmaker. Dogtooth was very heavy, man. That was an extremely uncomfortable film with what I thought to be a very important message. I like that film more than most people, but it is a very difficult watch. Killing of a Sacred Deer was wild. It's fun. It's out there. The Favorite, that's actually my favorite Yorgos film, at least heading into Bugonia. And Kinds of Kindness, man, that was a weird one. That didn't work for me. I need to revisit that one.
It was all right.
Yeah, that was an odd one. What did you think of that one, Blake?
Kinds of Kindness?
Yeah, that's the hardest to pinpoint for me.
Yeah, it was cool. You know, those anthology movies are rough, right? It's a tough thing to do because it's like I like going to movies for a story wrapping up in 2 hours, 3 hours. And this is like, here's three kind of disparate stories at once. And I mean, it was cool because you got to see these great actors do weird things, but it was just like good, but not like super great.
Yeah, not what I was expecting. I guess you never get what you're expecting with Yorgos, though. That's what I'm learning.
No.
Never. However, I think being very familiar with his filmography going into Bugonia really helped the experience for me. I don't know, because I haven't seen the film being unfamiliar with Yorgos Lanthimos, but I was expecting something weird. I think of all his films, this is the one that's the most grounded. I think it's the most accessible. In other words, the least weird. Although it's still very Yorgos. There's his fingerprints all over this film.
Yeah. It feels like the same brand of weird. But if you showed it to me out of context and without me knowing that Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone have worked with him in the past, I think I'd be hesitant to say it was directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. I'd second guess myself for sure.
I mean, the first 3/4 of the film, I can see Yorgos in there, but there isn't the strangeness of Yorgos in there. It's very different in that way.
It doesn't crawl under your skin like it does the other movies.
But once the movie ends, it feels very Yorgos. Guys, I got to tell you, I absolutely loved this film. In fact, I'm going to say it right here and right now. This is my favorite movie of the year so far.
No way. That's wild.
I absolutely loved this film. I came out of this film with the biggest smile on my face,
Yeah.
and I couldn't quit thinking about it. I'm not going to say it's the best film of the year, but it was definitely my favorite film of the year. It did something to me that few films can do, which is I got so excited. I came out of it with this goofy grin on my face, and I just wanted everyone to see it, and I wanted to talk to everyone about it.
That montage just gave you that goofy grin. That montage at the end.
Nothing like seeing all of humanity die to put a smile on your face. You guys know what Bugonia means, right? You guys know where this comes from?
No.
Yeah, the cows and the bees thing, where bees came from the husk of a dead bull, right? It's kind of what.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. In Greece, there was this old belief that bees would generate from an ox if that ox was killed without spilling any blood. And that ties into the end of this film, which we will talk about. But right there in the name of the film, note the spelling, by the way, is a key to help decipher the messaging of the film. You know, the story itself, at least the first 2/3 of it, isn't crazy. It's not difficult to understand, but there is some messaging in this movie that I think is difficult to at least pick up on. And so you walk away from it having a lot to think about. I thought this film was so much fun. I loved the twists and the turns and the unpredictable reveals. And I absolutely loved this film. I thought it was a blast.
So what was the moment that you guys knew the direction it was taking right at the end? You know, was it right when she stepped into that closet and grabbed the calculator, or did you?
I'm not sure if are you asking what moment did I know like she's going to the mothership and
Yeah.
At what moment did you realize that she's an alien?
I knew she. Okay, so I figured she was an alien from the beginning once they started talking about aliens because it's freaking Yorgos and it's like, of course she's gonna be an alien. But I knew she was an alien when she was first captured and she's begging them not to go upstairs and turn off the light. They turn off the light and the room lights her face in such a way that it's like sinister. And she has a sinister look, not a scared or worried look, but a sinister look in that like, oh yeah, something's wrong with this girl. And I thought I noticed it the first time I saw it, but the second time, because I was watching for it, and I just got, like I said, I got out of it like 2 hours ago. I was watching for it and I'm like, yeah, this is the spot when it's like kind of confirmed to me.
I'm going to see it again this weekend, and I'm going to look out for that. I'm so excited to go back and just watch it again with a different lens.
I can't wait to see this film again. Blake, like you, very early on in the film, I thought to myself, this is Yorgos Lanthimos. I'll bet she's an alien.
Absolutely.
Like, I remember that thought so clearly, and yet somehow I disregarded it and continued watching the entire movie as if she was human, and I was still shocked when she was an alien. It still just totally got me off guard, even though I had thought about it earlier. That's just what this film did to me.
Yeah, she grabbed the calculator, stepped into the closet, and even then I was
so
like,
funny.
There's no way. I don't know why I was so convinced, because like you guys said, it's a Lanthimos film. Of course she's an alien. But I just wasn't expecting it, and it made it so much better.
Agreed. It was when she stepped in the closet to me that I was like, oh my gosh, she really is. It was when she picked up the calculator, I was still unsure. When she stepped in that closet, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let's talk about what this film means. Do you have any interpretation of what is trying to be communicated in this story?
I think my boss might be an alien.
I mean, I don't think they hide what the film means, right? It's like billionaires and these kind of corporations are destroying the world, and they're doing it because they're not of this world. They don't really care that much.
Yeah.
And, and you have, the whole conspiracy theory stuff, which has become so rampant now with social media, and you have that representation. We got a good chunk of that with Eddington earlier in the year. So like we're getting a lot of that sort of stuff, but I think it's pretty clear. It's like, hey, like time's up. The time to act was a while ago, and the people that can act just don't care. In fact, they like are kind of the ones that are destroying the world, and it feels on purpose.
Yeah, I got a couple of different messages out of this film. My first thoughts had to do with capitalism, particularly late-stage capitalism. Capitalism is not a perfect economic system. We love capitalism here in America, as do I. But late-stage capitalism is problematic, and the weaknesses inherent in capitalism are such that they aren't resolved by capitalism itself. This is undeniable. Capitalism, money flows to the top, and the middle class shrinks into poverty until the entire system collapses. That's capitalism. Monopoly. At the end of the game, one person has all the properties and all the money, and everybody else is broke. I
Yeah.
thought the film was making a comparison between billion-dollar CEOs and aliens, right? To say that these people are indeed aliens. They do not care. They're making their money off the backs of the worker bees. Those worker bees are expendable, and the CEOs do not care.
Yeah.
It's all about profit, 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 greed, greed, greed. I thought that message, early in the film, I thought that message was very clear.
Yeah.
The film starts with bees, the film ends with bees. And I think this is a somewhat accurate representation of capitalism. You've got the queen bee, the most important bee, and the hive will protect that bee at all costs. And they work and they work and they work until they die.
Yeah.
Bees are clearly an important part to the messaging of this film.
Yorgos has a not even sympathetic feeling for Jesse Plemons' character. The film plays Plemons' character as the hero from moment one. He has all the hero shots. He has, when you guys watch this again, he has a Marvel type hero score every time he's doing some sort of action. There's a big symphonic orchestral score that comes behind, and it's basically the same score every time. He's shooting him like a hero, shooting the everyman who's gone into kind of full conspiracy mode, trying to save the planet like a hero, right? And so I think you're straight on there, Jordan, where you're saying like it's a anti-capitalist movie, anti-runaway wealth movie.
However, there are a couple other messages that I got from this movie, and the more I think about it, the more I'm unsure what the central message is. Let's start with Teddy, because he is a very interesting figure in the film, and he's shot in a very interesting way. Blake, as you pointed out, some scenes he's shot almost as if he is the hero, and yet we know he's the villain for most of the film. He kidnaps Michelle. He is manipulating Dawn to try and get what he wants accomplished.
Yeah.
He's torturing people. He's inhumane, and he's a conspiracy theorist. He lives in an echo chamber, and he dives into this internet conspiracy about these aliens. You know, he says in the film that he's tried out all different types of movements and political ideologies, and he's working by himself now. Everything he's accomplishing, he's doing on his own.
Yeah.
And the film validates him as a conspiracy theorist, and it also criticizes him as a conspiracy theorist. But one thing that I thought was really fascinating is he was right. He was absolutely right, including in the fact that Michelle communicates with the mothership through her hair, like even in the most ridiculous ways. He was right, and yet he did no good for nobody.
Yep.
Even in being right, even in having the truth, he saved nobody. In fact, he caused harm to people.
Yeah.
In fact, you can also say that he brought forth the destruction of humanity through the way that he treated Michelle.
He valued being right more than humanity. There's a line in there where it says something like that. It's pretty similar that's like the point that scene was pushing, and that was like, dang. Like you see that all the time. It's that selfishness and ego.
I thought that was a very interesting aspect of the film.
Definitely.
The third message that I got out of the film has to do with Mother Earth and the way that humanity is destroying nature and Mother Earth. And I don't think this is squarely in the narrative of the story itself, but the message is very much there, and it is highlighted, emphasized with the depiction of the bees.
Yeah.
At the end of the film, we get a description of this reality from Michelle's perspective. And Michelle says that the Earth was discovered, and it has since been a place for scientific tests. The Andromedon people, of which she is the emperor, came to this Earth and created dinosaurs as a study, as a scientific study. And then they messed up and they killed the dinosaurs. And they felt bad about it, and they're like, we're going to create humans. And so humans are created in the form of the Andromedon people. And then these people desired to be greater than the Andromedons. And they begin to physically alter their biology through tests and experimentation, right? They begin to create humans in a lab to try and make themselves bigger and stronger, and they ended up corrupting humanity, and they became very violent. And so these aliens, these Andromedons, came to the planet to weed out this corruption in their genome so they would quit being violent. In other words, the aliens were here to save the people, right? That's what Michelle was doing here. The human behavior is violence, and it's one of hatred, and it's one of destruction. And that's what the aliens were on this planet to do, to fix that. They were here to save humanity from violence and to save Mother Earth from humanity. Does this sound right? Does this strike a chord with you guys?
Little hints when you say it. I think I had an intuitive understanding that was being portrayed. I couldn't have put it into words quite like you did, but it just feels like there's a lot here and a lot of themes that could be, talking about two things simultaneously. Every time you return to it, I think you're going to find more. I think that's what makes it so great.
Yeah, I think when she's found out and Teddy comes back and she basically spills the whole thing to him, that's the speech, right? Like she tells kind of the quick history of what's going on. I could see that played in two ways, where she is here to save us, but I could also see it played as kind of that authoritarian, like free will and humanity cannot save itself, therefore we're here to save it, and that's the somebody giving an excuse as to why we need to control and poison these people and do all this sort of stuff to save you from yourselves. And so that's kind of how I felt it play out. But yeah, she gives that speech there, and it's the kind of that point where it's like, okay, now you have to kind of decide, is she still the villain, or was she kind of trying to be the hero the whole time?
That's the question. Ultimately, she decides to kill humanity.
Yeah.
And so I guess it would be hard to call her anything but the villain, but she claimed to be there to help save humanity.
Yeah.
Humans have lost their humanity. The way Teddy had the truth in the sense that the aliens were there, and yet he turned to torture and he turned to violence. And he did to his cousin Dawn exactly what he accused the aliens of doing to the humans, right? I mean, He chemically castrated Dawn.
Yeah.
Against his will. He manipulated Dawn and pushed Dawn into doing this.
Oh, yeah.
So in some sense, Teddy is also the villain in many ways of the film.
Teddy is the villain of the film, and so is Michelle, right? Like, this is one of those things where it's just like there is no good happening here. Don seems a decent guy. Everybody else who comes on screen is absolutely. I mean, you have Stavros as cop, absolute worst human being, right? And like, you could talk all day about what the symbolism behind a pedophilic government official who is so distracted by his pedophilia that he doesn't even realize that the problem is right downstairs. Like, there's so much symbolism there.
Yes.
You could do a whole podcast on that. Yeah, I mean, look, this is just like pretty much every other Yorgos movie. There are no good people in this movie, period.
By the way, I thought the cop was a brilliant addition to the film because we see Teddy as kind of a loner. He's a conspiracy theorist. He's in this echo chamber and he's researching all of these crazy, wild ideas. At least that's what we think at the beginning, is this guy's lost his mind. He's crazy. And yet there's just little bits throughout the film that teach us more about his character. We know his mom is in the hospital, and you'd immediately think like cancer, right? I mean, that's just what happens in movies like this. But then you learn that it's actually drug addiction that's put her in the hospital. And man, that paints Teddy's upbringing in a new light. And then this cop comes in, and with just one line, you learn so much about Teddy. The cop just says one line.
Yeah.
They don't expound upon it in great detail. It's just one line. And all of a sudden, you learn so much about Teddy and his difficult childhood, and you begin to feel sorry for him. Even though he's acting crazy and torturing Michelle and doing these crazy things, like, you begin to feel for him in a way. I mean, at that point, you still very much believe he's the villain. I'm not saying he's not, but just that kind of complexity in writing, I just can't help but appreciate.
From there on, it's like you just start to feel bad for the guy. When he goes to the hospital and puts antifreeze in his mom's IV, it's just, It's funny, it's terrible, it's everything. You don't even know how to feel, but I just felt bad for him.
Did you guys find this film funny? I found this film to be actually quite hilarious.
There's
Yeah.
there's so many like great sight gags and hard cuts and logical weirdness, but the heart of the comedy was the little actions and facial reactions from Teddy's cousin Don, who's just a
Yeah.
great actor. Aiden Delvis, just a great actor. I mean, he nailed that part and was so lovable and so funny. But yeah, some of the stuff that happened when she's like, it says it's antifreeze, but it's Emma Stone is a comedic genius. She's been that for a very long time. And even in a weird, crazy role like this, her delivery of some of these lines had me chuckling pretty hard. Yeah. Very funny movie.
The 58-digit code on the calculator.
Yeah.
So good.
He's like, the calculator had to be discreet.
Emma Stone was absolutely amazing in this film. I think that Emma Stone is, if not the best actress in Hollywood, she is tied for first. I just think she is absolutely brilliant in everything that she does.
Nobody has this combination of talent, right? She's naturally gifted comedian, which is a very hard thing to do. She reminds me of like a mix between Lucille Ball and Katharine Hepburn in that she has that gravitas on screen like Katharine Hepburn does, but then all of a sudden she'll make a face or a reaction and it's like you see Lucy in there and it's such a combination of talents, and you just don't see it very often. She is unique and fully commits in everything she does. You know, when she gets her kneecap broken, I said to myself, I'm like, I bet she actually got her kneecap broken. Like, she just commits to these movies.
She agrees.
She is insane, you know? Like, she just jumps in. She goes full on in movies, and it's hard to not appreciate her.
She knows how important the job is. It's never something light for her. I saw an interview where they were asking about how hard it was for her to buzz her head. It must have been so hard. And she's just like, no, it's part of the job. You just take the razor, and the hair's gone. I think other actors would be like, that was such a hard thing for me to do. But she knows the sky is the limit and that she needs to put so much work into it. Shaving her head isn't going to be nearly enough. That's the easy part. Just an excellent actor.
She is. I wouldn't say she's my favorite actor, but I would say that I think she's the best working actor in Hollywood today. I think she's absolutely brilliant. And it's amazing in this film. You hate her as the CEO because she's mistreating, even though it's shown just briefly, she's mistreating those that work for her and manipulating them. Yeah. Oh, you can leave at 5 as long as your work's done, as long as you meet your quota.
Let your conscience guide you.
Let your conscience guide you. We need to have the work done, but you can leave at 5. All of that. So realistic to corporate America, is it not? Oh, we love you so much. We want you to have work-life balance, but you have to get your quotas done. It's this mixed messaging and threats that are veiled.
And we're going to guilt trip you until you do.
Guilt trip you. And yet when they shave her head and cover her in antihistamine cream, she looks so much like an alien. Like, she's so scary.
Yeah, looking back, the movie couldn't have been more clear that it was an alien.
Jesse Plemons, again, what an incredible performance. Probably the best of his career. Absolutely incredible. Aiden Delvis, what an accomplishment. A believable and heart-wrenching, fantastic performance from him as well. Yeah. Acting in this film was great. Blake, you talked a lot about the score and the cinematography.
Yeah.
These are just such key points to Yorgos films. I think he's truly a magnificent filmmaker.
Yeah.
His stories are so bleak, but they're often deep and complex and reflective and contemplative and metaphoric.
Yeah.
And man, some of his ideas are just so strange. I mean, he shot this film pretty straight, but usually he's using like fisheye lenses and pastel colors, and it's just, his ideas are just really, really weird.
Yeah, this was actually a pretty straightforward compared to a lot of his other movies. This felt very naturalistic, whereas like something like Poor Things was absolute insanity from minute one, the way it was shot.
I thought the weirdness, particularly in the end, when it got really weird, I thought it was just so fun. I just absolutely loved it.
So perfect.
The more weird it got, the funnier it was to me. I mean, this film is bleak and it is dark in places. It is heavy. There are some things that are very, very uncomfortable. But I also found the film to be quite comedic, and I just absolutely loved this movie. It puts a smile on my face just talking about it. I loved this film. I do want to talk about the ending, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying the ending is really bleak, and a lot of people are saying that the ending is really hopeful. And I think this is strange, worthy of a conversation. Michelle goes back to the mothership, and she decides that humans aren't worth saving. And so she pops the bubble.
Above the flat Earth.
Yep, above the flat Earth. And humans everywhere die. And what do we see after that? We see a dog. We see a cat. We see a bird. And most importantly, we see bees. The bees have come back. And Bugonia, as we talked about earlier, the belief was that bees would generate from an ox that was killed without spilling any blood. And at the end of the film, all the humans die and there is no blood shed.
Oh.
And the bees come back and the earth is able to regenerate and heal itself and restart the cycle of life. Is it hopeful?
It's hopeful.
Or is it bleak? Did all humans die? The aliens are cruel beings.
I think it's hopeful.
I think there's a bittersweet ending. You can see, Yorgos holds on Emma Stone's face for a long time after she pops that bubble because there's a war inside of her. And she also feels like she was more so part of the problem as she was the solution. And now she's judge, jury, and executioner as well. She gets away with it. She moves on while the rest of those suckers just die. And, it starts again, whatever. It's a bittersweet thing because she's sad and she feels as guilty as anything else. That's my thought on it. I mean, look, we are a parasitic species on this planet. We give it nothing. All we do is take. And so for the sake of something that is much bigger than people, which is planet Earth, it's a very hopeful ending. Good for Earth. It lost its biggest parasite, its biggest sickness, and that's a big W for Earth.
A big W for Earth, but a big L for humanity. And if you can laugh at that, you might enjoy this film. Guys, I want to know exactly what you thought of Bugonia. Let's rate it on a scale of 1 to 5.
I'm going 4.5. I thought it was great. I thought the pacing was great too, considering how simple the story is. It's kind of bare bones, and it doesn't follow a typical story structure. I was surprised, but I'm really excited to rewatch it. I'm gonna go 4.5.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was a good movie. I think from a filmmaking point of view, it's as good as it gets. I had some issues with, I had similar issues with this movie as I did with Life of Chuck. And the Life of Chuck is a movie that just kept popping in my head when I was watching this. There was way too much of actors basically turning to the camera and saying, hey, here's what you're supposed to think about this because here's what's going on. And it's not really them saying that, but I just did think there was a little bit too much exposition. And I thought some of the B and C plot stuff was a little sloppy and felt jammed in. But from a performances standpoint, from a filmmaking standpoint, excellent. I mean, loved every second of it. I'm at a 3.5 stars.
3.5 for Blake. Guys, I got to give this film a 5. I've already said this is my favorite movie of the year so far. I absolutely loved this film. Yes, there are parts that are dark. There are parts that are bleak. There are parts that are heavy. There are parts that are hard. But I thought the cinematography was amazing. I thought the cast was amazing. I thought the acting was amazing. I thought the themes were amazing. I thought the weirdness was amazing. The weirder this film got, the more I liked it. It was twisty. It was turny. It made me sad. It made me happy. It made me laugh. It made me cry. Really complex film that made me think. I walked away from the theater with a huge smile on my face. Great time at the movies. I cannot wait to see this again. Please go see Bugonia, and don't blame me if you don't like it. This is not a film I think everyone's going to enjoy, but it definitely tickled my fancy. We want to know, what did you think of Bugonia? Please tell us.
If you liked Bugonia, it's a mix of dark comedy and horror, people losing it in close quarters. You're going to love Bong Joon-ho's 2019 film Parasite. Both dig into power, class, and desperation, and oddly, they both take place in a basement. But Parasite does it with sharper tension and a smoother build that keeps you hooked the whole way through.
Thank you for listening to Faster Film Critic, and please join us next week when we talk Predator Badlands, directed by Dan Trachtenberg. You can also follow us on Letterboxd, Cinetrek, Instagram, email us at fasterfilmcritic@gmail.com, hit us up with questions, comments, feedback, review requests, and share this episode with your movie-loving friends.